up in the streets of Shango from an average family of 4, where my father was the basic provider of the family. We did spend a lot of time with this father of mine because of the nature of his work. He was a tour driver. So then he'll provide for the family any basic need we'll need. And life was good. Life was okay. We never questioned anything. So when I was in class 7, I started noticing some difference. Some difference from the essence that I started questioning myself. And nobody explained this to me. The normal rice and pastas we used to take, to daily ugali and sukuma, the 3 meals to 2 meals, and nobody's explaining this to me. So who am I? As long as I'm going to school, I have a roof on my head, nothing to stress about. So when I finished my primary school education, I realized that my parents didn't have a plan for me. When I say a plan, I mean that every parent, the moment your child is done doing her KCPE exam, you already have that thing in mind. This is where I'll get this loan to facilitate my child's school. This is the best school for my child, and this is what I'm going to do so that my child can go to school. This was the exact opposite of my scenario. So I saw different colleagues of mine going to school, coming to bid me goodbye, telling me of stories of how they can't just wait to get to those best schools they've selected. This is a conversation I never had at my home. So one fine morning, I questioned my mom on this. What plans do you have for me? Which school am I going to join? This is when my mom opened up. She told me, your father lost his job, and things are not going to be the same again. So from there is where my eyes opened. I started seeing the clear picture of how situations are going to be at home. And so for that matter, my daughter, I'm not going to leave you behind. There's a nearby secondary school by the name the Hassan Joho Girls Secondary School. So I'm going to look for admission, and you're going to go to school. So this mother of mine works in that school, and because of my good performance, I got admitted in the school. And it was through the help of my uncles that facilitated the finance for me to join secondary school. Too bad, on the first day, I joined with a warning. It was a requirement for every student joining Form 1 to have cleared the first term school fees. Here I am, Farida Ally, with half of the school fees. But that didn't hit me any hard. What I needed was to get to school. So life was not easy back at Hassan Joho Girls Secondary School, because I was different from other students. Different in a manner that whenever anything will be required for me to have, and which needed money, I was always lacking it. I was always number 1 on list of those going home because of school fees. And when I was at home, I never had this conversation of how are we going to take our daughter? Because in as much as this man was fighting his own battle, he became so harsh and violent. Violent to my mom in front of us. Silence was the only weapon that we could use. So I saw my mom moving out of her comfort zone, trying to cook food on the streets, cooking food on the street, walking to different offices of politicians just to see her daughter getting education. So I took that task upon me. If this woman, who has not set foot in school, is working this extra hard because of me, who am I to let her down? So I decided to perform very well. So school was closed. and I was still at home. I didn't go back to school after being sent home for that term. Now it was school opening for third term. So my aunt, my mother's sister, came up with this idea we should prepare a Harambee form which could be circulated around for people to donate anything that they wish to donate so that can help in my school fees. So remember I'm in Mombasa County, and the form is being circulated in Taita Taveta County. You can imagine. So from the efforts of my aunt, I managed to collect 15,000 Kenya shilling. So school opened, this beautiful lady. I didn't even stress or felt shy because I was at home for the whole term. With this heavy bank slip, 15,000 Kenya shillings. This was my first time carrying such a bank slip. I was used to the normal 2,000, 1,500, and trust me, 3,000 Kenya shilling was the highest amount I've ever carried as a bank slip. This time round, I'm with 15,000. I queued up at the bursar's window, ready to be served, because I know, well, this time, it's not the same again. So when I get to the window, it's time for me to be served. My bursar changes her facial expression. She's happy that I've managed to collect such an amount. But when we go back to mathematics, I had a balance of 35,000 Kenyan shillings. Here I am with 15,000 Kenyan shillings. So if you subtract that, I remain with a balance of 20,000 shillings. Plus third term fee, I'm going back to where I was. So how are we going to help you, young lady? This is what she asked me. But this time I decided I'm not going to go back home the same way they usually send me back home. I'm going to come up with a technique which is going to make me remain in school the same way the other students remained. So I came up with this idea. Whenever my principal was outside school for other duties, I will sneak in school and attend every other lesson. And when it happens that my principal is around the school without my knowledge, or it's time for biology or chemistry, which are subjects being taught by my principal and my class teacher, I will hide in storerooms. Because our classes were designed in a manner, there were some extra small rooms where anything we wouldn't require in class were being stored there. So I will hide in those storerooms as my colleagues continue with their normal studies. So when the principal is out, I get to class. When she's around, I get to the storeroom. That is how I survived. But since everything has its advantage and disadvantage, my disadvantage was that anytime people sat for an exam, I could not get my results. The reason being, I never attended these two subjects, and they could not reflect to my performance. How am I going to have a mean grade calculated if I never did these two subjects? But I survived that. Moving on, I was in Form 4. My principal states it's very clear. There is no registration for any student who has a huge fee balance. Farida Ally, number 1 on the list. Without the list being mentioned, I already know that I'm top on the list. So I remember having a one-on-one conversation with my principal, trying to tell her, in as much as you really need this money to run the school, even if you send me back home, I can't change anything. There's no money at home. So you just have to maintain me here, register me, I do my exam, then we see how we can sort out things. So we came to an agreement where we prepared an agreement form, which stated very clear that I'm not going to access my results till I get to clear my balance. Well, here I played my part so well. I sat for my KCSE exam. Now, during the last day of my paper, you know how it feels, everybody's now happy, you're now going to become this mwananchi. And for that matter, I was this 17-year-old mwananchi. Yeah. So as I leave the room, everybody's happy, celebrating of how we are going to transition to campus, how we're going to see life, how we're going to start these relationships. I faked it, because I knew what I'm going to face back home. So I faked the smile, I faked the conversations, When I got back home, I saw my mom seated at a corner. Around her were some boxes, bags of her clothes. She had packed everything. The expected thing is to be asked how the exam were, hugging you, telling you you've made it. But this time round, I was the one to congratulate my mom. She told me, I have bared all this violence in this marriage. I have completed my mission. I am now leaving this marriage. So I sat and thought of it. This woman having faced all this, and now she has decided to leave because she has accomplished her mission. So now if I decide to leave, what will I have achieved? So I told Mom, you go ahead. I'm going to remain behind with my father. So Mom took my younger brother, and they went back to her maternal home, and that was Taita Taveta. As I stayed with my father, all the violence that was directed to my mom changed the direction to me. I was beaten. I was told words. I was cursed for mistakes that I never knew to have done. I decided that this place is not safe for me. So I moved out of the house and got accommodated at my aunt's place. So as I stay at my aunt's place, I managed to join a nearby computer college by the help of Terry Tendai, who facilitated my school fees for that college. And this fine evening, as I walk out of the class, heading back to where I call home, my aunt's place, I receive a message from my aunt. I'm not going to accommodate you because your father will think that I'm siding with you. So look for a place where you can get accommodated. So I saw myself as a curse from the words that this father of mine said to me. And I decided I'm going back to the village where my mom was. So I went back to the village. Life was okay, because everything was being provided by my able uncles. Food was on the table. But what saddened me the most is during these holidays, my uncles and aunties will come back home with their children. We will live together for that time. But when time comes for them to leave to the city, I was always left alone, lonely with my grandmother and mother, not seeing the future, no opportunities for me. So I decided I'm going back to the city. And coming back to the city, I did not go back home. I was accommodated by a friend of mine back from high school. I stayed at their place as I looked for jobs which I could qualify for. But this never worked out. I tried to write request letter to be considered for scholarships in different offices which I felt were potential, including the Ministry of Education by then for Mombasa County. I never got any reply. So as I stayed at my friend's place, I got lucky. I got this sales and marketing job, which was a contract of 24 days. And as I work in this company, there's this workmate, a lady, by the name Concepta. I opened up to her, she opened up to me. We built this strong bond, which to date, I still can't understand how it came to be. So this lady I met at this 24-day job accommodated me at her place. She's a teacher by profession. And every time she leave in the morning to go to teach, I was left alone at her house. I started wondering, how am I going to live my life? How am I going to bring change in this family of mine? What kind of life will my brother live now that my mom is back at home, my father is there, and I'm here? So using my smartphone, going online, and for that matter, it was Facebook, any opportunity that I will see, youthful forums, I will DM that person who has posted it. How can I attend this event? How can I do this to participate in this? So and every time I'll get accepted to attend this forum, I'll make sure that I stand out. And even if I don't relate to the topic being discussed, I'll make friends with the facilitator. I'll either help you carry the water and your books so that you can know me, so that I maintain that connection. In these forums or in such opportunity, you'll remember of me because I decided to stand out. I decided to walk to this human rights organization, which at some point back in high school, they had engaged us with debates. So I walked in their office and told them, here I am, one of your products. Why don't you involve me with your projects? And from there, I met two beautiful ladies, Wavin and Kwamboka. They listened to me despite the fact that I didn't go to university. All the opportunities that were available, they've always been calling me. And I went for them. And I showed up. And I gave it my whole, because I know this is the only thing that I had. And through that, I have been able to attend different trainings, which have gotten me to another level, a different thinking level, not the same as a Form 4 thinker or a Form 4 leaver. So it is through this that opportunities have been opening up for me. I have been able to represent my fellow youths at the UN for a Youth Action Summit. I have been able to sit in a round table conversation. I have been able to be selected to sit in a round table conversation to come up with an action plan for youth justice and peace. I have been selected as a peace champion by Haki Africa for Mombasa County. And it is from the favor of God that I am where I am today. And for that matter, I decided that I needed something which could bring income for me, in as much as I serve humanity, in as much as I give back to the society, which I feel I should leave it a better place than I found it. I founded El Bravo African Collection, which is a brand of mine that sells African prints, lesos, dashikis, vitenges. I'm standing here today to tell you, in as much as you face those struggles, I know everybody's fighting a battle. Don't give up. What would have happened if I gave up? Could I be standing here talking to you? Don't give up. Be prayerful. That is one thing I can advise, because I've seen God. And I have not made it by my own. It is through the support of different people. And today, I want to celebrate my mother. I want to celebrate all the mothers out there going through a lot and still bearing because they want to achieve something. I want to leave you with this message. What you choose to do now or not to do now cannot be changed in the future. And it is that which has kept me going, because I know I need a brighter future. Thank you.